Hey YouTube, what is up, and welcome back to the channel. Now today, we are going to be having a bit of a conversation, and this conversation is about the Trailblazer, Kevin Holland. Now, I'm making this kind of following Kevin Holland's last fight where a clash of heads caused a no contest, but that fight and even seeing Kevin Holland compete again started to get me thinking, does he have what it takes to really climb the ranks at middleweight? Or should he go to 170? And if he goes to 170, does he have what it takes to climb the ranks down at 170? So we're just going to break down his recent activity. I'm going to tell you guys just kind of about what he's done recently, why he's gotten so big, and then I'm going to break down what he could do with the upper echelon of 185 and 170. So I think what many people would agree with me is what started his real rise was that Charlie Ontiveros fight. It's the one where he slammed him and Ontiveros tapped like instantly. It was pretty impressive. I mean, the Joaquin Buckley also arguably could be where this started because of that TKO was big. That was a big right hand. But either one of those, I would argue, is what put Kevin Holland on the map for a lot of fans. But obviously, the Jacare Souza fight skyrocketed him because he was in. I don't know what his placement on that card was, but people were talking about him. People were watching it because I think he was on the main card, and someone talking like big mouth like Kevin Holland when he's fighting Jacare Souza was very interesting to see. And I mean, when's the last time we've seen anyone knock someone out off of their back? That just isn't possible. I mean, ask Chael Sonnen and he'll, Chael Sonnen would definitely agree with me when I say that is practically impossible. I mean, pretty much every MMA fan, but that's one of my things I love about Chael Sonnen, the way he talks about how you can't be effective off your back, which is fairly true. But anyways, he knocked out Jacare Souza, with vicious shots, and the way he was talking was just entertainment, and he really, got people excited with him. So then after that fight, he had 5 wins in 2020. I think he has the record for the most fights in a year, something like that. And he started that run in May too. He didn't start it super early in the year, but this year he started the year off with a March fight against Derek Brunson, and he was just dominated. I mean, we all probably understand the story of that fight. He was taken down and beaten up, and he played jiu-jitsu way too much, and that was a big flaw in his game. Yeah, it was just a really big flaw. I mean, he literally had a body triangle locked up on Derek Brunson for a long time from the bottom, and it really signified how just willing he was to sit there and take that punishment because he was looking to play jiu-jitsu. He wasn't looking to get up because his striking is very good. He's a very talented striker. And don't get me wrong, he's a talented BJJ artist, but I mean, he's got a black belt, but you get punched in the face like that, you turn into a blue belt. But so after that Derek Brunson just UD domination loss, he then went on to fight Marvin Vettori, and it was a very similar story. I mean, Vettori just outclassed him realistically. I mean, he took him down and beat him up in that same way. The talking from Holland was very entertaining. The Brunson fight was very entertaining because that one I believe he was talking to Habib a lot, and that was really funny to watch. But, hey man, the Marvin Vettori fight was very similar to that. The way he talked, he talked during that whole fight, but nothing really came above from it, and he just got dominated and lost UD. And Vettori went on to fight for the title. Do we think that Holland would have fought for a title with a win over Vettori? No. And I don't understand how Vettori got the title shot. I mean, he was on a winning streak, but to beat Holland and then get a title shot, crazy, but that's a story for another day. But then after that, Holland took some time off, went to Hendrickstan. He went and trained with Johnny Hendricks, as he calls it, Hendrickstan, to learn a lot about wrestling, and he fought Kyle Dawkins, who is a legitimate and talented wrestler, and that was just a couple nights ago. And Holland looked pretty good, to be completely fair to him. I mean, he stuffed a couple takedowns. He got taken down once, I believe, but just down to a knee. He got right back up. He was looking pretty good on the takedown defense. Some similar things I've seen in the past from him where he's starting to get taken down and he completely relies on his balance and almost doesn't use his arms at all momentarily. And that's just comes with experience for Holland, but you could tell he's gotten some experience in the training room with wrestling. But he did fight Kyle Dawkins, and I did just mention that it was a no contest because of an accidental clash of heads. And that fight, to be fair to Holland, he was looking pretty good, but then those two guys, they clashed heads, and Holland went out. And Holland ended up just kind of being there and surviving. In an interview after, he said, "I knew something was wrong. It was really hard to breathe in those chokes." And he got caught in a rear naked choke and in a standing rear naked choke. So I feel bad for Kyle Dawkins because things are probably going to be taken away from him in that fight. And Kyle Dawkins said this, and I completely agree. If Kevin Holland got headbutted like that, practically knocked out, came back and win that fight, everyone would be talking about Kevin Holland. There wouldn't be a no contest, obviously. But since Dan Miragliotta and the ringside officials agreed that had such a big effect on the fight, it ended up being a no contest, which was good for Holland. But I feel bad for Dawkins because, to be fair to Dawkins, he did choke him out, and Dawkins did look pretty good on the ground. So that concludes the first segment of this video where I'm breaking down what's happened to Holland, and now I'm going to talk about where Holland needs to still improve, and that obviously is his wrestling and his fight IQ. Now, not to say that Holland doesn't have good fight IQ, but it's the focus for Holland, and it sucks to see because the talking is so entertaining. Everyone loves to hear the talking from him because it's just entertaining. But when you look at him critically, even you mute the broadcast, you look at him critically, he's talking and it's like he's getting distracted, and he's funny and he's very entertaining, but that's probably what's going to make him just a star and not a champion, the fact that he's just can talk and not really rely on too much of his technique. But hopefully his wrestling does get better because his striking is good. The guy's a kung fu fighter, as Bruce Buffer says. But now I'm going to talk about where he ranks up with 185 and 170. I'm just going to talk about the top 5, 6. So at the top we have Adesanya. I think Adesanya just outclasses Holland, although it is a very interesting matchup because of Holland's height. I'm pretty sure both guys are 6'4", so that could actually be a really interesting fight, in my opinion. I do think that Adesanya would win that and win it with relative ease because Adesanya just levels above with the striking, and Holland, I don't see him shooting for a takedown in that fight, but if that fight does hit the ground, Holland does have a bit of an advantage, but people sleep on Adesanya's jiu-jitsu as well. Next up, we have Robert Whittaker. I think Bobby Knuckles probably similar to Adesanya. I think Holland has a little bit of an easier fight compared to Adesanya, but Whittaker is just, he's good too, dude. I think him and Adesanya are actually pretty similar in the difficulty it would be for Holland, but I think Holland loses that. I think Holland loses to Cannonier at this point in his career, and I really think he does. I think Holland's just too little. Not too little, actually. I don't know, man, but I think Cannonier does beat him by decision in a very methodical fight. Against Derek Brunson, we've already seen that happen, but I would like to see that happen again once Holland has improved takedown defense, and I would take Holland if he had improved takedown defense. Against Paulo Costa, against Borrachinha, that's an interesting fight on the feet, because Costa is just so explosive, but I really do think Holland would find a way to win that one. Against Vettori, also, by the way, I wouldn't be shocked if Costa resorted to wrestling in that fight now, at this point, although he is fighting Vettori coming up, but still, that'd be an interesting fight, but I would take Holland there. Close decision, but I'd take Holland. Against Vettori, same thing, man. With Brunson, I think I want to see that. I think that fight might happen again down the line, but I think Vettori still wins it. That's the top 6 that's the top 5 plus Adesanya at 185. Now at 170, a division that's also very stacked. We can start off with the champion Usman, and that's actually an interesting fight. Usman's 6'1", I think 6'2", and that's actually pretty interesting. Because it'd be interesting to see how Holland would be able to deal with Usman's just pure size, but I do think Holland would have a good chance of that fight, but I think he would get taken down by Usman because Usman's wrestling is just amazing, and I think Usman would win that, grind out a decision, maybe a late TKO with ground and pound. What else? Who else is at 170? I'm trying to think. I guess we talk about Well, against Gilbert Burns. Burns' jiu-jitsu is just so good. I think Burns catches Holland in a submission, because I do think that fight would hit the mat. Even on the feet, man, Holland might have trouble with that right hand of Burns, but Burns does get pretty reckless. I could see Holland winning with like a check hook and putting him away. So it could be an interesting fight, actually, now that I think about it. Who else at 170? Leon Edwards. I think Leon Edwards is just so much more well-rounded. He wins that one. Who else? Colby Covington. How could I forget? Colby Covington I would say, is pretty similar to Usman in the sense that he could take him down and grind out a decision. More likely to take him down and grind out a decision in Colby Covington. But I do believe that, and also, guys, I don't know what Holland's going to look like at 170 if he goes down, because he is a smaller middleweight, but he would be a pretty big 170, but that'd probably be a hellacious weight cut for him. But against Colby Covington, I think it's pretty similar. I think Covington takes him down and grinds out a decision. Against Luque, I think that's an interesting fight on the feet. I could see Holland actually winning that one. And Leon Edwards, man, he's so well-rounded to the point where, now that I think about it, I think Holland actually could win that. I think Holland could beat Luque and Leon Edwards. Who else is at 170? Oh, yeah, Wonderboy. Wonderboy is a really interesting challenge for Holland, but I think Wonderboy's patience in his last fights have not done him great things. Don't get me wrong, man. Wonderboy is probably my favorite fighter, in just pure based on striking. But I think Holland, man, it's such an interesting and unique style to be able to deal with. It'd be interesting to see how Holland would be able to deal with it. I'm not gonna make a pick on that one, actually. But next up, or actually, yeah, that's gonna do it for today's video, man. That's 5 of each division plus champs. So that's gonna do it for today's video, man. Let me know what you guys felt about this video. If you agree with my take on Holland, if you disagree with my take on Holland, and yeah, man, I'll see you guys next time.